All right, I'll say good day. As you can plainly see by the shirt the channel is wearing, the title of this transmission is 2027, the year everything changes. We have talked about the idea that open contact is about to happen, is imminent. Within 2 years, they will be officially introduced to your society. At first, most likely hybrids, Pleiadians, and then others. The idea, however, that the channel is wearing this shirt has another aspect to it that is very important. This is another facet of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. The wearing of this shirt, the seeing of this phrase, hearing it, sensing the energy of it, can actually help drive the acceleration toward contact for all who are exposed to it, that are willing to open that doorway within their own energy, within their own spirit, to allow this to become more concrete, more real, to begin to truly, more viscerally sense the reality of open contact in just a couple of your years. So this is part of allowing open contact to become more solid, more real, more imminent for you. And what will happen now from this point forward is that for every live in-person event that the channel will be attending, this shirt will be worn so that the audience that is present at that time in those live in-person events will literally physically be exposed to this phrase, the energy of this phrase, the hearing of this phrase, to begin as a subliminal meditation to make it more and more and more real as part of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment that will help accelerate you toward open contact to whatever degree your consciousness is willing to let this vibration in and allow it to crystallize within you. So, for this transmission, the shirt is worn. The upcoming transmissions online will continue to present the typical Hawaiian motifs, but all experiences, live and in person, will present this shirt in the coming remainder of this year. In 2026, some things may change again to help the acceleration move forward, to help it speed up, to help make the idea of open contact, again, more solid, more real, more visceral, so that you really can begin to develop a sense that it's about to happen. Because the idea is not only is this to be considered a kind of prediction, but as we are saying, when predictions are made that contain a certain amount of momentum, a certain amount of energy behind them, they can actually also drive you to that reality if you are willing, if you are open to receiving that vibration. So predictions not only give you the opportunity to decide whether or not you prefer what the prediction is sensing about the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made in that present time, they can also allow you to open doorways within your reality to accelerate the choices that you made to experience on your life path with respect to open contact, and can actually help accelerate it to make sure that the prediction itself renders itself viable, renders itself as an real reality that you can experience, that you know is the most probable reality that is capable of being experienced on your life path. You are here at this time on your planet and living this life path and experiencing these transmissions because this is part of what you have chosen to experience. And you can now, all together, by being exposed to this phrase, hearing it, seeing it, feeling the energy of it, work together, whether connected physically or not, but in your consciousness, in your soul, work together, harmonizing together to amplify and magnify this frequency that the year 2027 is the year where everything changes. And as you can see on the shirt, the clue exists as to exactly what that means in the capitalization of the words everything. So there are layers within layers holographically of being exposed to this phrase in the way it has been designed to allow, again, over time, with further transmissions tailored to this idea, to help accelerate the idea of open contact and to also allow you to participate in that acceleration by bit, day by day, week by week, month by month, to make it feel more inevitable, more imminent, more real, so you can really touch it, really feel the solidity of it, really feel the inevitability of it, and bring it about in the way that you prefer, to reflect to us the ways in which it would work best for all of you, for the evolution of humanity. You have already begun to see more sightings of our ships. In the United States alone, in the past month, there have been well over 300 sightings of our ships. This will increase. This will accelerate, giving you more and more opportunities to get used to our presence until such time within the next 2 years, it simply becomes an understanding, a knowingness, a reality. The idea, not so surprising anymore. The idea, feeling like an inevitable everyday occurrence. The idea opening doors for your society, for your culture, for your people, for your planet, to move forward in the evolutionary reset of humanity during the next few decades. To have a sense, a stronger sense of the path you are walking, that we are walking with you, side by side, hand in hand, heart in heart, spirit in spirit, together, forward, upward, outward, and inward, simultaneously, with unconditional love, with joy, with creativity and imagination, with certainty, with conviction, bringing forth more of your indestructible spirit to transform your world over a relatively brief period of historical time into the dream you have always dreamt it could be and will be. We thank you for walking by our side. We thank you for allowing us to walk by your side. I, as a first contact specialist, am experiencing all of the possible passion in the inevitability of open contact with your world, your people, your spirits. We thank you with unconditional love.
I want to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? Thank you. Allow us to begin, first of all, by thanking each and every one of you for co-creating this interaction with our civilization in this way, this day of your time. Each and every time any one of you helps to create this kind of interaction, it forms a bridge, it forms a link between our respective civilizations. And we always enjoy the interactions because by being allowed to interact with each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively, we are afforded an opportunity to experience through you different points of view that exist within creation. And this expands our understanding of all the different ways that creation can express itself. So we thank you for the gift that you are giving to us in forming this interaction. Now, we would like to begin this interaction by stating that a very specific kind of energy shift is coming in your upcoming year that you call in your counting 2007. And we would like to explain in a little bit more detail what we perceive from our perspective to be some of the patterns that will flow from the changes taking place in your years to come. Now, let me remind you that there is no such thing as a prediction of the future. There is, however, a sensing of the energy that exists at the time the prediction is made, a sensing of the present. And if that energy does not change, then what is sensed can come to pass. But when someone senses that energy, they are not sensing the future. There is no set future. There are infinite probabilities of many different things, many different paths that can open up. And depending upon where you choose to focus your individual and collective energy, that determines the path you shall experience. But as we read the energy that exists now, at the present time, what we are about to say is what seems likely to unfold based on the strongest energy patterns that we perceive. Now, we would like a volunteer to write something down. Anyone? All right, you. Do you have what you call your paper and your pen? All right. Any one of you may write this down as well if you wish for yourselves. But first, write down these numbers. Are you ready? Are you sure? All right, just checking. 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. Have you got that? All right. Take your time. Now, also write down in another column if you wish, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Have you got that? All of you? All right. Now, 2007 begins a new cycle of energy, a new collective momentum, a new collective inertia in the general consciousness of your planet. And that, in the beginning of this cycle, will be a starting point for a number of things that are to unfold as we perceive the energy at present. The first number, 3, added to that will take you to the year 2010. That will be the next marker or milestone, if you wish, in this general pattern we are outlining here now. Then, from there, you may add the 5 and bring yourselves to 2015. Then, from there, you may add the 7. Then, from there, you may add the 9. And then, from there, you may add the 11, bringing yourself ultimately to your year of 2042. You follow along? I'll wait. Now, in each of these blocks of time, of 3 years, and 5 years, and 7 years, and 9 years, and 11 years, across this 35-year span. Now, in the first block of 3 years, also count 1 year from that beginning. So when you say 2007, the first span of 3 years to 2010, but also make a demarcation 1 year into that, bringing you to 2008. That's another demarcation point. Then in the idea of 2010 to 2015, bring yourself 2 years in, from 2015 to 2017. That's another demarcation point. And then add in each successive block, again, the idea of 3 years in, 4 years in, 5 years in each of those blocks from the starting point of the beginning of each block. You follow me? So you have, as I said, your 2007 to 2010, that starts the 3-year block, but go 1 year into that also, 2008. Then you have your 2010 to 2015, go 2 years into that, so that you get your 2017. And apply 3 years to the next block, 4 years to the next block, and 5 years to the block after that. Those will give you all of the main demarcation times that we have talked about for certain events to occur, and also that many of you have been aware of for a while about different beings, different societies, different ideas in your culture of different demarcations for things to happen. For example, as you have in the second block, your 2010 to 2015, going in 2 years brings you to 2012, which many of you have for a long time been discussing as a major threshold crossing point. So you will see that in this overall pattern, you will be able to mark general crossing points that will be indicative of certain societal changes, certain changes in awareness that will bring you to the next level, the next step of changes going on not only in your society, but changes toward the interaction of your society with societies from other worlds. And as we have said, when you get up the scale a little bit in this pattern, around your years of 2030 and up, you will find that there will be open contacts occurring on your planet between yourselves and members of other societies. And by the ending of this cycle in 2042, Earth itself will, in a sense, have already been enlisted within an alliance of a variety of worlds. So this 35-year span represents your inclusion from the beginning point to a point where you are full-fledged members of an alliance of a variety of civilizations. And along the way, there will be different incidents, different events, both in your society and as you observe other things going on in your universe, that will show you that you are progressing toward an expanded awareness that will bring you more and more into contact, not only with more of yourselves and give you more ability to choose what kind of world you actually prefer, but will also bring you closer into contact with beings such as ourselves, so there can eventually be face-to-face interaction. 2007 begins the acceleration of that cycle, that then, in a sense, ends in 2042, but then continues on a very different level altogether. From that point forward, you will be being trained how to interact with other societies who are also evolving in ways that you have already gone through, in ways you have already experienced, so that you will be able, as a society, to begin to help them learn to evolve their societies in ways that you have learned to evolve. But that will take place, as we said, after your 2040s. But in the meantime, many exciting things will happen as we read the energy now. Now, so keep that in mind. Use it as a template. See what happens around those years and begin to understand the pattern of energy, both within yourself as an individual personality and in the collective society. You will see many different things that will start to happen in and around these times, give or take a few months here and there, one side or the other. But we are giving you a template so you can follow along now in this time, your own progress of acceleration and evolution in the expansion of your consciousness as it relates to discovering more of yourself and as it relates to discovering others that are aware of you and have been aware of you for thousands of your years. And as you come into more contact with us and others, it will also accelerate and increase your understanding of who you are as individual people and as a civilization. And it will start to illuminate the choices you have made in creating your society, so that in looking at those choices, you can decide more clearly what choices you would like to make from that point forward to create the society you all say you would prefer to have on your planet. So use this template and see what insights can be gleaned from it as you compare the events in your society to the years that are marked on this particular template. You will learn a lot about patterns of consciousness that occur within your collective self and your individual self. It's a tool we give you to have some fun with. Now, we would also like to say this. We have now been communicating with your society in this way, as has been pointed out, for 23 of your years. Part of the change coming up is that the way we are doing this will now change also. Tomorrow of your time, it has been discussed that we shall conduct what you in your language call a workshop. We will conduct this workshop on what you call your west coast of your country tomorrow of your time, and in 1 month thereafter, we will conduct a workshop on the east coast of your country. That workshop on the east coast of your country will be the last workshop of its kind. From that point forward, there will be something different. We will, as far as the idea of workshops goes, in time, help create what might be more readily called a curriculum that will actually be offered through what will come to be understood as an Institute of Applied Metaphysics. That curriculum, in a sense, will be something you can begin to study at your own pace and apply the tools we have discussed with you for 23 of your years in such a way that you can really strongly begin to apply all these things in your own way, at your own pace, to your own life, and get very specific changes by training yourself how to do what we have come to learn to do naturally with every breath. Thus, you will be immersed in an atmosphere and an environment of learning these ideas, these tools that we share with you in such a manner akin to what you may call your schools, so that it will truly be steeped into you in such a manner that it will become second nature to you, rather than just hearing the information now and then. It will provide a true training over a long period of time to allow these to become ingrained behaviors, so that you will have profound effects on your life, rather than just intermittent ones. This curriculum and the Institute of Applied Metaphysics will occur in time. Perhaps, again, over the course of what you may call the 3 years in the first block, from 2007 to 2010. Most likely will this curriculum appear, and the institute that will allow you to apply it. But there will not be workshops of tomorrow's nature again. You are ready for something different. You are ready for a different level. Now, there will continue from time to time be the availability of having what you are experiencing this day of your time to be questions and answers, interactions of a type. But what will eventually also replace the timing of these Q&As or incorporate the Q&A will be something that we will begin to deliver on our schedule, on our time, that you might call State of the Union addresses. Because now that you are going into the cycle of the pattern, of the template, of truly moving toward becoming a member of an interstellar alliance, we will include you in a variety of State of the Union addresses to update you on your progress and assist you in learning how to become more interactive within that alliance. Be a true, full-fledged member of that alliance. So, instead of the idea, thus then, of just Q&As, although these will include the ability of dialogue back and forth, they will be more like reports, States of the Union, States of the Interstellar Union, if you wish. It is time that these formats change, and at this time, we will be the ones to determine at this point exactly when and where they will occur. So, simply be open, and synchronicity will bring you the information, and you will be where you need to be when you need to be there. Information will be provided through usual channels, no pun intended, and you will find out the information that you need involving the changes I am now speaking of. And this brings us to the third item we would like to address this day of your time, and that is with regard to the energy vibrational changes taking place within each and every one of you individually. Many of you understand that your vibrations are raising, your vibrations are increasing, taking you to a higher level. Now, some of you don't necessarily always know this or are aware of this, but over time, you have increased your frequency, you have raised your vibratory level of energy. It's just that you may be so used to it that you don't necessarily know that this has happened. The example we often give to illustrate this point is that a person who lived on your planet, say 300 of your years ago, if they were to suddenly be transported to your present time and were to look at any single one of you, they would actually see you as glowing. Your vibration is that much higher in 300 years compared to theirs 300 years ago that you would appear to be glowing to someone from 300 years ago. But to you, it's natural, so you don't notice it. It's your natural vibration now, but it has raised over time. You are higher energy level beings now, and your vibration will continue to rise. But here's how it rises. Because some of you have been experiencing the idea of what you call ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs in life. And you say, why is my vibration not always going up? Why does it sometimes go down? Here's why. Remember that some time ago we said expansion and evolution and growth is the product of inclusion, not exclusion. You are gathering all of the things from lower vibrations you need to look at to integrate them into the higher vibration. So your general cycle is rising into a high vibration that gives you the ability to dip into the lower vibration and bring up to the higher vibration issues, beliefs, definitions that you need to resolve, that you need to integrate, that you need to process. And by going on a higher vibration, it gives you the ability to do that, to dip lower, so that you're gathering all of yourself together, including all of your experience of life. And as you do that, it's not that you're going like this and traveling in a straight line. You will start doing this and start averaging a higher vibration. As you dip down, you will not dip down as far as you did before. As you rise up, you will rise higher and higher. And the average of those two, no matter how high you rise and how low you may go, the average of those two will constantly be rising. That is how you do it. So invite the idea of what seem to be the low points, because it is those low points that allow you to gather things that you don't want to leave behind, ideas that you need to examine, beliefs and definitions that you need to process in order to truly integrate yourselves as holistic beings and raise your vibration in general to be able to manifest the life you prefer more and more easily through ecstatic explosions of synchronicity. Because synchronicity is one of the first and primary side effects of beginning to live in the moment, beginning to live in the now, beginning to be your true self. Synchronicity is space-time, physical reality's way of showing you that all things exist now. But in linear space-time, the only way that you can experience that is by many different things happening coincidentally all at once, one after another, showing you that things are linked, things are connected, that you are manifesting these things. And as you live more in the now where everything exists, then physical reality, which is a mirror, can reflect back to you through synchronicity more and more and more of all the things that exist with you right here, right now. Many people talk about the idea of creating your reality. You don't really create it. It already exists. Many people talk about the idea of attracting the reality you prefer. You don't really attract it because there is nowhere out there to attract it from. There is no outside. That's an illusion. It's not that you're creating the reality. It's not that you're attracting the reality. What you are creating is the experience in your consciousness that is most reflective of the vibration on which you exist. That's what you're creating, the experience. Reality is experience. There is no empirical reality outside of you. It's all within your consciousness. But you can create the appearance. You can create the experience of physical space-time. You can create the experience of an outside so that you can play a game of investing yourself with new knowledge about yourself by creating perspectives that otherwise could not be created without that format. But it's all taking place within your consciousness. And it's all just a matter of perspective. That's all it is. So when people talk about creating their reality, yes, in a way you are. When people talk about attracting the reality they prefer, yes, in a way you do. But it's already here, all here, right now within you. So what you're actually creating with your vibrational changes is the experience, and that's the reality. That's the reality. It's not so much what happens, it's how you respond to what happens that determines the vibratory frequency that determines your experience of reality. That's all it takes. You're already here, you're already now. There is nothing really you have to learn how to create. Nothing really you have to learn how to attract. All you need to learn is how to allow the experience to happen that is most reflective of the vibratory signature you're giving off, and then respond to it in a way that is reflective of the kind of being you prefer to be. That's all it takes to have an unlimited experience of synchronistic reality in ecstasy, excitement, joy, unconditional love. That's all it takes, is the willingness and the allowance to let it occur, to let it reflect the true you. But we understand how many of you were raised on your planet, and we understand the definitions and belief systems that you were raised to buy into, and we understand that what you go through is part and parcel of the process of getting in touch with what those beliefs and definitions are, so that in doing so, you can then decide whether those definitions work for you or not, whether those definitions are in alignment with your true self or not, whether those definitions and beliefs are what you prefer to believe or not. And in getting in touch with them that way, it is up to you, up to your free will, up to your ability to choose what definitions you believe are most true for you. And that will be the reality you will experience, because it all happens within you anyway. Oh, it's a good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Are you all excited? Yes. All right, workshop's over. You see how fast it can happen? Have a good time, good day. Now, allow us to begin by saying we have no idea what we're going to talk about. The reason I say this is to allow you to understand that when you live totally in the moment, you don't necessarily have to plan everything out, don't necessarily have to lay it all out before you do it. You can, in the moment, upon the realization of what needs to be done, simply call upon your connections to the infinite to bring through whatever information is necessary at that moment. You don't necessarily need to think about it a moment before. Just know that you will know what you need to know when you need to know it, and it will be there for you. This connects into the idea of living fully your excitement, being present, being in the now, and knowing that you are connected to all that is in whatever way, shape, or form at any given moment you need to be to bring through for you at that moment what you need most. Living in that trust, living in that assurance, living in that knowledge is the state of being that best reflects living your life to the fullest, living your excitement to the fullest. Now again, when we talk about the idea of excitement, you can use any kind of label you wish to represent that. We understand that words have different meanings in your society, and excitement, in a sense, can be many things to many people. It can be unconditional love, it can be joy, it can be bliss, it can be passion, it can be a peaceful state of mind. You don't always have to be jumping up and down to be excited. When we talk about the idea that we refer to in your language as excitement, we are simply talking about that vibrational state that represents you being in harmonious alignment with your true natural self. And the process of discovering your true natural self and being that true natural self is what it's all about in terms of having a life that allows you to experience ecstatic explosions of synchronicity and effortlessness and creativity and love and joy. It is the willingness to be who you really are, to discover who you really are and be that you. That willingness is all it takes to get the ball rolling, to start the momentum going, to bring into your life, to attract to you those things that are most reflective of what you need next, of what you need to look at, what you need to deal with, what you need to process, in order to add that knowledge and add that experience to your being so that you can expand and expand and expand and become, experientially become more of who you were already created to be. There's a process of self-discovery, a process of awakening, a process, in a sense, of remembering who you are. As we said, that's what physical reality experience is all about. It's making choices. It's the ability to choose. It's the experience that choice brings you of discovering through all the choices you make who and what you really are as this particular personality in this particular parallel reality life. Now, yes, of course, the greater you, what some people may call the oversoul, obviously has a number of lives going on simultaneously in what you call parallel realities or past or future. All of those things coexist concurrently, simultaneously. But this you is unique, as all of the different versions are, all the different life experiences are, whether physical or not. Each aspect of your greater self is unique. And so even though you have many lives, this life will never happen again and has never happened before. This is the only life this you has. And so to make the most of it, to allow yourself to really experience, to really savor what this life is all about, the idea is that you have the freedom, regardless of what you have been taught, regardless of what you may still believe, you have the freedom at every given moment to choose who you prefer to be, how you prefer to act, what experience of life you prefer to have, that you believe is most representative of the you are, in your heart of hearts, in your deepest soul. Now, as children, many of you automatically understand what it is to live an exciting life. But of course, different belief systems that have developed within your society over time will often talk you out of continuing to live that exciting life as you grow up, as you mature. But the idea is really to learn to balance that, to learn to blend that, to learn to become a grounded adult who still understands the freedom of play, the freedom of creativity, the freedom of excitement in the way you understood it as a child. So it is allowing yourself as an adult to rediscover how you can integrate that excitement, that childlike attitude, that childlike gratitude for every moment of the day, for a total appreciation of your life in a way that is natural, in a way that is second nature to you, actually first nature to you. So that you can know with assurance that as you move through life and as you make decisions and as you make choices, you are constantly supported in whatever choice you make it. You are never not supported by the universe. And this is the first element we wish to drive home with you with regard to the idea of living an exciting life, is the understanding and the realization you are never not supported by the universe. Totally. Many of you can create an experience as if you are unsupported in a variety of categories and ways. But all that is happening is you are being supported in what might be a negative belief. The universe does not judge. All that is does not judge whatever belief you choose to experience. And if you choose to create a definition and a belief within your consciousness that says you are not supported, the universe will support you in your experience of lacking support. You are always supported, but you are only supported to the degree and in the manner your strongest belief says you are capable of being supported in. But you are supported fully in that belief, in that experience. Every single belief, as we have said, contains, in a sense, a mechanism that reinforces that belief. It creates a self-fulfilling reinforcement mechanism. It has to, by definition. If beliefs did not contain self-reinforcing mechanisms, you would not be able to have discrete experiences in physical reality. You would not be able to have a particular experience of a particular belief without other beliefs leaking in. And this is, to some degree, one of the things you are learning to transform, is the idea that you can have an overriding belief. An overriding belief that colors all other beliefs, that beliefs are easy to change, instead of an overriding belief that beliefs are difficult to change. The overriding belief that beliefs are difficult to change is part of the paradigm of the belief itself that is there so it will be reinforced so you can have that experience that the belief creates. But now, in your age of transformation, you are learning you can replace that overriding belief, that program, that equation, with another one. That beliefs are easy to change. So that you can simultaneously, shall we say, experience to whatever degree you wish to any particular individual distinct and discrete belief, but at the same time always leave yourself a key to unlock from that belief should you desire to do so when you are done with that scenario. This, in some sense, is the malleability, the flexibility that is required as children have it to shift very quickly from belief to belief to belief to belief, from experience to experience to experience to experience, creating a life that can go at any given moment in any direction whatsoever. So that you understand that every single moment is a zero moment and is absolutely not connected to the moment that was there before it, unless you believe it is. And that's the key. At every moment, you have the absolute and total ability to reinvent yourself, redefine yourself wholly, completely, and become a completely different person. That is another thing that it helps to begin to realize, fully realize, when it comes to living a life of high excitement, is that every single moment you actually are literally a different person. And the person that was there a moment ago is not the same person. And even though you may look in a mirror and see what you think is the same face that was there a moment ago, that is just an illusion of continuity that you are creating for convenience sake, so that you will not be deemed crazy or insane by your fellow members of society. But you could create such a distinct difference in the person from moment to moment that when you look in the mirror, you would actually see a different face every single time you look. Some of this ability has been demonstrated, as you say in your language, scientifically, medically, in cases of what you call multiple personality, where you can actually have one personality that actually has a particular physical condition, such as a cancerous tumor. But when they switch to another personality, the tumor is nowhere to be found. Instantaneously transforming because this personality never had cancer. It's not that reality anymore. That this can be done by individuals exhibiting multiple personality disorder shows you what kind of capabilities you actually have, and if you can, as you say, get a handle on transformation to that degree, and at the same time know that it doesn't have to be out of control, then you can also make the same kind of transformation instantaneously in any way, shape, or form you wish. And when you begin to understand that that's what you're already doing anyway, from moment to moment, then you can, with more consciousness and more intention, guide the transformational change from moment to moment in the direction of your preference, in the direction of your excitement. Remember, that's what it's all about. It's not about learning how to do these things. You already know how to absolutely and completely and utterly do all these things. Create any reality, every moment, transform instantaneously, let go of one belief and latch onto another instantaneously from moment to moment to moment. You're doing it all the time. The issue is not learning how to transform. The issue is awakening to the choices you are making of what you transform from and to. Because you can create a sense of continuity in the beliefs that you choose that make it seem as if, from moment to moment, nothing much has changed. When in fact, from moment to moment, everything has changed. You are a completely different person and a completely different reality, literally, take me literally, every single moment that you experience. Any change at all, it's a total change, a complete change. You exist as a different person in a different universe, utterly. Utterly. So you don't have to worry about learning how to do that. It's automatically built into your creatorhood. That's what you do. You can't help yourself but create, moment to moment, a new universe
You are made in the image of all that is, and all that is constantly creating new ideas, new perspectives, new universe, constantly shifting its consciousness simultaneously and concurrently from every different possible perspective, and that's exactly what you're doing too. But you have created an idea. You have created an idea, a notion, a system of definitions, a system of beliefs that define a particular experience you call physical reality on Earth. And you have set up certain guidelines, certain parameters that you've all agreed to abide by to make it seem as if you are not doing all the things we are talking about now. Again, as an example, you talk about the idea, or your scientists talk about the idea that you only use 10% of your brain. No, you use 100%. But you use 100% to make it seem as if you're only using 10. That's what you're doing. You're creating an experience of only using 10% of your brains with 100% of your brains. So waking up to that fact is what will allow you to realize you can change the percentage anytime you wish. Anytime you wish. Because all you're doing from moment to moment is saying, I choose 10%, I choose 10%, I choose 10%, I choose 10% again, I choose 10% again, I choose 10% again. Why? Because I said I have to. Why? Because I said I have to. Why? Because I said I have to. That's all you're doing. You're creating an illusion of continuity with your choices. You can break the continuity. Now, I understand. Again, because of belief systems within that particular paradigm, that the idea of breaking continuity can be scary because of the way you define the concept of breaking continuity. But what this is all about is learning to break continuity creatively. This is all artists do anyway. You're all artists. You're all geniuses. The idea of there being a fine line between genius and insanity is exactly this issue. The individuals on your planet that you call insane or have psychological disorders, like the multiple personality disorder we recently mentioned, the only difference is that they are not aware of what they are doing in such a way that they can apply it creatively. They're not breaking their continuity intentionally and consciously. This is all about doing the same thing, but doing it intentionally and consciously and artistically and creatively. That's the only difference, and that's why you recognize instinctively, intuitively, that there's a very fine line between genius and madness. Because the idea of going from genius into madness is simply an idea of creating a belief system that allows you to forget that you are capable of breaking your continuity at will. And when you impose upon yourself the belief system that you are not breaking your continuity by choice, then you experience the thing called madness or disorder. But when you understand that you are breaking your continuity by will, by choice, then you have genius and artistry and creativity. That's the only difference. It's an issue of understanding how to break your continuity by choice and liking it, enjoying it, and not being afraid of it. It's all about making a friend of the unknown. Making friends with the unknown. Allowing the unknown to be a place of excitement and surprise and discovery rather than a place of fear. Rather than something to run from. Rather than something to hide from. It's a place to go toward. The unknown is where you will discover all the rest of yourself. That's where the rest of you is. In the unknown. So you want to develop a willingness. A willingness. Not just to crawl there, not just to walk there, but to run there. Run to the unknown. Embrace the unknown. It only contains more of you. That's all the unknown ever contains. More of you. more ability to discover more of you. If it's scary, that's an opportunity to get in touch with the belief systems that make it seem scary. Because it's only your definition of the unknown that creates the experience of fear. There is nothing about the unknown itself. There is nothing about the unknown itself that generates fear. Only your definition of it generates the experience of fear. That's all. It's the only thing that works that way. So, embracing the unknown, making choices at will to break your continuity creatively will begin to allow you to truly experience what you have for a long time called magic, where one moment does not necessarily have to appear connected to the next, where your space-time reality begins to get very slippery, and you can all of a sudden begin, if you have not already begun, to experience such things as winding up somewhere and having no idea exactly how you could possibly have gotten there, getting somewhere in an amount of time that heretofore would have been impossible to get there in, and all sorts of experiences like that where you suddenly realize that you can do without some of the intervening continuity moments. The ideas of teleportation, the ideas themselves of shifting in time, the idea of expanding your awareness to many different lives and parallel dimensions of reality, all come from the willingness to break your continuity creatively. Now, up to this time in your history, it hasn't necessarily served you to do that, except perhaps now and then in a very random way when it served some particular purpose in some particular person's life. But now, in this day and age, the idea itself that you are in a day and age of transformation allows you to consider many more options, many more possibilities of what you can experience physical reality to be. Physical reality is very flexible, very malleable. Remember, it's just an illusion. It's just a mirror. It only reflects back what you give off. So just as your reflection in the mirror really has no substance, physical reality itself really has no substance and is, in that sense, a true will-o'-the-wisp. It will take its form only from what you believe it to be. Only from the solidity you impart to it with your definitions and your meanings and your beliefs. It is no more substantial than that. No more substantial than your idea of it. What is real is your experience. That's reality. Experience is reality. Reality is experience, not the things that are the props of the experience. The experience itself is who you actually are, is what you actually are. You are consciousness experiencing itself from all the perspectives it can. That's what creation is. Consciousness experiencing itself from all the perspectives it can. That's it. That's what reality is. And when you begin to get a handle on that, when you begin to be willing to break your continuity with that intention in mind, you open up a myriad of possibilities that heretofore were not experienceable in physical reality because you are redefining physical reality itself. We have long said, and we will repeat this if necessary, we have long said the process of shifting, the process of ascending from one dimension or one reality to another is the process of realizing that you actually are the reality you previously thought you existed in. I'll say it again. The whole concept of ascending, the whole concept of moving from one reality level, one dimension, one density to another is the result of realizing that you actually are the reality itself that you previously thought you existed in. So what we are saying is, you don't exist in physical reality, you are physical reality. It is you. It's just an extension of your consciousness. It's just an experience in your consciousness. When you recognize fully that there is no physical reality except for your experience of it, and that that's what reality is, that is what allows you to experience an expansion of your idea of reality as you experience an expansion of your idea of yourself. And that's what allows you to have the experience you call ascension, or advancement, or growth, or expansion. Does that make sense to you? Yes. Is there someone to whom it does not make sense? All right. Would you like me to explain more clearly in some specific way what I have just said?
But you can repeat it, please. Just repeat what you said.
All right.
Different words, maybe.
All right. Right now, most of you imagine or have been taught to believe that physical reality is a place in which you exist. You understand? You are being taught that physical reality is a dimension, and that somehow you, as an individual, exist inside that dimension. But you don't. The dimension exists inside you. It's just an idea. There is actually nothing out there. There is no out there. That's an illusion. It's a projection. It's all going on inside your consciousness. Does that make sense? So when you understand that you are not in physical reality, that physical reality is in you, that awareness in and of itself, that moment of being aware of that in and of itself, is the experience of expansion and ascension to a different level. Does that make sense? Does that help clarify it sufficiently? Or is there something else you wish to explore about this concept before we go on?
Well, I guess it does, but just like I just said, the belief needs to be changed, basically.
All right.
Yeah.
But you understand the concept.
I do understand.
That's a beginning. That's a beginning. And we understand that you're not going to let go of it completely because you still do want to have an experience of physical reality. We are not necessarily saying that you absolutely have to suddenly find yourself floating in the middle of a black void with nothing around you in order to understand you are changing your reality moment to moment. What we are simply saying, however, is that you can understand that since you're changing your reality moment to moment anyway, it can really be anything you want it to be because it's only coming from within you anyway. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So we're not saying you will necessarily completely give up the idea of the experience of being in physical reality. We are simply saying that when you realize that physical reality is within you, then your experience of being in physical reality can be almost anything you want it to be. Make sense? Yes. Now, the other thing that you will all tend to do is, of course, you will do this changing, you will do this transforming, you will change your physical reality experience at a rate that you believe and in a way that you believe is not only comfortable for you, but in a way that makes sense for all the people you are connected to in your life, because you want to retain some degree of the experience of continuity in order to have the experience and share the experience. You follow me? So, you will move at a rate, you will do it in a way that best suits you, best serves you, and best serves all those around you with whom you have made agreements to move forward with at a certain pace. So some of you, let's say, within any particular group arrangement, may move a little bit faster than others, may change your reality a little bit more quickly, a little bit more effortlessly. Some may change a little less quickly, a little less effortlessly. But within that whole family group, within that whole arrangement, you will generally move together at a certain rate, at a certain pace that benefits you all, because that's the agreement you have made, is to help each other learn to do that by reflecting to each other what is going on within the group with regard to changing your reality, so that each member can decide for themselves how and how fast to change their reality or to be aware of the changes they can make. So some of you will do that as well, and that will form a kind of a regulating speed for how you do it. That does not mean, however, that you are limited by that. At any moment, you can change your idea of what you want to do with regard to those agreements, and you can go a little bit farther ahead and come back. You can do anything you want. Anything you want. Choice is always available to you. We have talked about before, and we know many of you are familiar with, a series of books that exists on your planet called Conversations with God. Yes? Yes. In what you call the latest book, there is an understanding and an explanation that fully illustrates what we are talking about in terms of having choice at every moment. It is explained very clearly in that book that even after you physically die, you still have a choice to not go on into spirit, but to pick up your physical life where you left off and continue. You do not have to physically die until you want to. This immediately, of course, in many of you brings up the question, well, if you can always come back, then why didn't so-and-so come back? Because they were done. Because they made a choice to go on. But you are always given the choice to actually continue the life that you just died in. You may or may not choose to remember that that's what happened. Those that might choose to remember or experience some idea that something different is going on may remember it as some kind of a continuity glitch or a dream about dying and then suddenly waking up and going, well, that was just a dream. When in fact it may have actually happened in physical reality. And you died and were given a chance to simply go back and pick up where you left off and only remember having died as a dream. So that you retain some idea of the experience, but not in a way that interrupts the flow of the physical reality you wish to continue. You do not even have to physically die if you don't want to, even though you may die, and even though many of you have actually physically died many times. You may not know that you have. You have choice at every moment, even after death, to not die, to continue that life if you want to, or to go on to something else. You are that free. And many of you have exercised that option a few times. Sometimes when you are in what appears to be an approaching accident, and you think, there is no possible way we could get out of this, but then suddenly you find that somehow you got out of it, you may realize that you didn't get out of it. You died and then simply reconstructed your life on the other side of the accident. You are that free. That's what we mean by freedom of choice. It doesn't matter. Even if you die, you still have freedom to choose what you would like to do from that point forward. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about the idea that you have to hurry up and get everything done by a certain time, that you need to finish this before you die. If you don't, you can come back and still finish it. In the same life as the same person, so you think. In effect, it will seem to be the same life. Of course, it's not. It's a parallel reality by definition. But you won't know the difference because you're creating a continuity in order to have an experience as if you did not die. That's how free you are with your choices. That's how powerful you are. Knowing all of this and applying it to your life on a daily basis is what will allow you to really begin to feel in your soul, in your heart, in your bones, in every cell of your being, in every fiber of your body, really begin to feel what it means to be free to choose. You are unlimited beings, except for the experience of limitation you impose upon yourself, but you impose the experience of limitation on yourselves from your unlimited self. You can experience anything, everything. It simply depends upon your agreements, your beliefs, your definitions. That's all. But this is the time on your planet, now that you have decided it is time to wake up, that it is time to become aware of these abilities, time to become awake to more of yourself. And that's why we have the ability to discuss this with you. That's why you have the ability to implement these ideas and experience this magic in your lives, to see that life is this fluid, this flexible, this magical, this unlimited. Guaranteed 100%, not because I say so, because that's the way the universe is. That's the way it's structured. This is the great gift that creation has given to all the creations within it. You are that free. You are that powerful. You are made in the image of the creation. That's what it means. You are a spark of creation and have all the same abilities within whatever you deem to be your reality. You are that free, and now you're coming to that realization. One of the ways that we would like to assist you in coming to this realization, in giving yourself more awareness that you have these abilities, is a technique that we would like to refer to as rewiring the brain. You see, every thought you have actually rewires your neurological pathways in your brain. But when you create a belief system that perpetuates or repeats a certain experience, when you continue to choose a similar experience over and over and over again, what you also create in your neurological pathways is a kind of a feedback loop. And this feedback loop, like a belief system, becomes self-reinforcing. So that you only experience that automatically over and over and over again until you break the cycle. This idea now of breaking that cycle, breaking your continuity creatively, will be expressed in an exercise, more specifically in an equation that will allow you to stop short-circuiting yourself in a feedback loop and will allow you to complete the circuit and ground yourself into an ability to manifest what you prefer instead of getting caught up in this feedback cycle of continuing to choose what you don't prefer. We will discuss and describe this equation to rewire your brain and complete the circuit in a moment. But first, we would like to share with you questions and answers to make sure that what we have discussed up to this point is clear. So if any of you have any questions or require clarifications about what we have discussed so far or anything in general with regard to following your excitement before we move on, ask them now.
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. The transmission today will be the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 4. Again, as a reminder, all of these steps, if you are willing to participate, need to be done in continuation. At the same time, all of them, according to the timing that we have delivered. The idea today is about identity. Many people on your planet now are talking all about the idea of identity. How do you identify? I identify as this. I identify as that. Well, it's also time to start identifying as a member of the Interstellar Alliance if you are participating in this social experiment. Therefore, in the way that most people on your planet have done this in terms of identifying themselves, we present you with an Interstellar Alliance ID card. Now, this idea is not necessarily to be used only. You have already in your possession different forms of identification cards. You have straight ID cards, you have your driver's licenses, you have your credit cards. You have many forms of identification that you are often asked to provide, that is requested by different authorities for a variety of purposes on your planet. And we are not suggesting that you use the Interstellar Alliance ID card only. We are suggesting that you start using it in conjunction with any of the others that someone may request of you where appropriate, where convenient. You don't have to use it all the time. But the idea is to allow your society to begin to gain familiarity with this social experiment through the presentation of the Interstellar Alliance ID card so that they can start beginning to consider the idea alongside the ID cards that you typically use and are already used to using in your societies. So, we present you a template this time for the Interstellar Alliance ID card that you can put into your computers and can fill out and present, again, where appropriate, alongside your regular identification cards in certain situations. So, Nania, are you ready to read step 4?
Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 4. Copy the Interstellar Alliance ID card on page 2 into your computer, add your color photo, and fill out the remainder of the card by typing or hand printing the region, city, and your name. Then add your signature under the photo. The photo should be similar to a passport, driver's license, or other typical ID card photo. Have the completed card printed in color on heavy paper stock, such as 80 or 100-pound stock. It should be printed out in the dimensions of a standard credit card or business card, 3 3/8 inches by 2 1/8 inches. Cut the card out and carry it with you at all times, just as you would any other ID card. Present the Interstellar Alliance ID card along with your regular ID card when ID is required and where appropriate, in order to establish familiarity with Interstellar Alliance ID cards in the general public over time. If asked what it is, remember to simply state that the card is part of a social experiment in which you are participating. If they wish to know more, please refer them to the Bashar.org website, where they can find the streaming event recordings that present the different steps of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. In completing the Interstellar Alliance ID card, regions are as follows: North America, Central America, South America, Europe, Asia, Australia, Pacific Territories, Atlantic Territories, Antarctica. The city category can be cities, towns, villages, or established communities. States or provinces are recognized as local geographical areas and not as political entities by the Interstellar Alliance. This information will help you in filling out the Interstellar Alliance identification card. Thank you.
Thank you, Nania. So, the idea is to begin breaking down some of the borders between certain kinds of political distinctions, starting to expand and broaden the idea of the different regions on your planet, more geographically than politically, and to start understanding that you are a citizen of the Earth, as well as a citizen of the Interstellar Alliance, to start thinking more globally. And again, the presentation of this card, along with your regular ID cards, can allow your public in general to become more familiar with this social experiment through a device such as ID cards that they are familiar with seeing every day all over your planet. So if you present them where appropriate in conjunction with the other ID cards, just as a presentation, you can pique other people's curiosity about it. You can, in that way, get them to start researching what this is all about and deciding whether or not to join this social experiment if they think it would be fun. Again, stressing that this is a social experiment. It is not meant to usurp anything on your planet, to replace anything on your planet in anyone's mind, but to join with it, to be in addition to it, so that the changeover, shall we say, from one particular political perspective, the one that you have been using for thousands of years, can shift to a more global perspective, a more interstellar perspective, and allow humanity, at whatever pace you are comfortable with participating in, to become Homo Galacticus. So we thank you for those who are willing to participate in this fun experiment, this part of the social experiment, and we encourage you to use it in a playful way, to keep it light, and to remember to follow the other steps as well at the same time. We will be taking a break from the steps next time and delivering a different bit of information to all of you so that you can take the time to absorb the first 4 steps before we continue on to the 5th step and beyond. So, we will be giving you more information about the relationship between the physical mind, the soul, and the oversoul, so that you can gain a different perspective of the relationship between those 3 levels of consciousness and how it relates to your experience of physical reality and your experience of space and time. After that, we will continue to deliver additional steps, taking breaks along the way where appropriate, again to give you time to absorb the information and come to terms with exactly how involved you wish to be in this social experiment, and allow your vibrational frequency to change over time at a rate and a pace that is comfortable for you if you have decided to participate. We thank you for allowing us to share this new aspect, this 4th step of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, this day of your time, and in return for the gift you are giving us in allowing us to play with you, we ask, how may we now continue to be of service to you as well? Please begin with your questions and your dialogues if you wish. All right, we will say good day to you all this day of your time. We will begin this transmission titled The Voices in Your Head in the following way. Through the auspices of myself, who is the voice in the channel's head. We will be talking about different levels of this idea, although there are 2 main sections, the physical and the non-physical, that are translated as voices in the head, as ideas, as inspirations, as messages, telepathic, vibrational, intuitional, and so forth. Let us begin in the physical realm with the understanding that with each level that we will be discussing, from which you can experience the idea of communication in your mind, there will always be the potential for any communication to be filtered through either the negative, the neutral, or the positive aspects of your personality structure. Beginning with that idea, let us examine the most common voices that occur in your head on a daily basis, generally speaking. You have within your personality structure reflections of things that sound like information that sound like voices in a sense. But in the center there is what might just be referred to as the neutral observer. This is representative of the daily thoughts you may have, the observations you may have, the neutral recognitions that you may have going about your life, such as, oh, look, there is a person over there. Oh, I think I will walk that way. Oh, there is a person approaching me. Oh, yes, I remember I have to do this thing today. Just the idea of the neutral observer in the center that is kind of recording the comings and goings of your activities, the recognition of your navigation in the physical reality dream. However, bracketing the neutral observer position of the voice in your head are the negative and positive sides. The negative side of the voice in your head that exists on this physical vibrational level is also fragmented into two parts, two components, as well as the positive side being sectioned into two vibrations. Ostensibly, we will refer to these two vibrations on the negative side and the two vibrations on the positive side, bracketing the neutral observer as male and female components, masculine and feminine aspects. On the negative side, you would find the masculine aspect would be most often referred to as the critic. That voice you hear that tells you, oh, you're not doing good enough. That judges you. That says you're not worthy, you're not living up to your potential. That you're not doing something correctly. That you're doing it wrong. And all the other kinds of voices that you hear, the stories that you tell yourself that are critical of your nature, critical of your being. Now, there are many ways that this idea, this critical voice in your head, is translated and interpreted in different cultures on your planet. But we understand that to the general population we are addressing right now, in your particular nation state, the majority of the mythologies and stories that exist stem from what you term the Judeo-Christian background, and therefore, in using the stories that come from that background as an example of how this critical voice is often seen, we will refer to some of your ancient biblical references. So this critical voice has been referred to symbolically as the father of lies, because all of these judgments, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're doing something wrong, in the judgmental sense, are all really fundamentally lies about your nature, your true worth, your value in existence. In recognizing that critical voice in ancient times, but because your physical reality, especially in ancient times, tended to be looked at by your population as something outside of you, something separate from you that you existed in, then this idea of the critical voice was also projected into an idea, an archetypal idea outside of yourself, because many people in ancient times simply didn't understand that it issued from a portion of their own consciousness, a portion of their own psyche, their own physical mind. And thus, when these kinds of critical judgments came from within, when they heard these voices in their heads, they simply followed suit in assuming that everything happens outside, that physical reality is really outside of you. And so they assigned this critical voice to the idea of demons, negative spirits, the devil, and essentially summed it all up in the archetypal symbol of the father of lies. So please understand that when you hear this critical voice, in a sense it is actually lying to you about yourself and giving you an opportunity to align with a vibration that is really out of phase with your true self. The feminine side of this voice in the negative vibration is called the seducer, the deceiver, and is often depicted by the idea of a siren that lures you onto the rocky shoals to crash, and biblically has been represented as the polar feminine opposite, so to speak, or partner, if you will, counterpart, if you will, to the father of lies, and has been referred to in your ancient texts as the whore of Babylon. That's why those phrases exist in your biblical texts. And this is what they actually refer to, are these archetypal energies within your own physical mind that represent the critic and the deceiver. The deceiver, its specific negative belief talent is to lure you, to deceive you into the idea of doing something that is out of integrity, out of alignment, but justifying and convincing you that it is actually the better path. The deceiver goes by the idea that the end justifies the means, and that it's all right to cut corners, it's all right to cheat others, it's all right to take what is not yours, because of some end result that is supposedly going to erase all the misalignment that was utilized in the actual means toward that end. And so it lures you down the path of saying, oh, it's all right, just take this shortcut here, nobody will care, you're doing good work, it'll all come out okay. It seems to say that this is the easiest way to go, but its deceptive quality is actually disguising the fact and allowing you to be in denial about the fact that because it's out of alignment with your true frequency, it's actually going to be the most difficult possible path you could take. And that things will always rebound upon you of like vibration, because remember, these belief systems are self-reinforcing and will also be reflected back by the higher mind mirror, and will always be amplified according to the energy that you are choosing to buy into. The deceiver, the justifier in this sense, on the negative side, is also responsible for the recognition in your society that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Because again, good intentions are not enough if you are not aligned in your methodology in how you arrive at the result of the choices that you make. So, pay attention to the idea that many of the voices you hear on the negative side that stem from certain belief systems within your physical mind come from that aspect of your psyche that has been symbolically labeled the critic and the deceiver. And allow yourself to recognize when they are attempting to tempt you into a vibrational misalignment with your true self. Go back into the neutral voice, the neutral observer, so that you can allow yourself the opportunity to shift these vibrations in your physical mind to the positive side. And on the positive side, again with the masculine and feminine energy, is the representation of the positive parents, the supportive father, the nurturing mother, the loving parents that guide you and allow you to grow and mature in alignment with your joy, your truth, your excitement, your passion, your creativity, your unconditional love of self and all that is. And that's when you know, when you allow yourself to let the positive side of these voices shine through, come through. You hear, you feel the pat on the back, the job well done, the support system that is reflected in the synchronicity in your life from the positive parents, the loving parents, the supportive father, and the nurturing mother, that now can allow you to become fully an adult in alignment with your true core spirit being. And that's the first layer and level of the voices in your head that are connected most strongly to the vibration of your experience in physical reality, that are expressions of your physical mind, your psyche. Reflections that are built in to guide you so that you can always allow yourself to remain, for the most part, dead center in the neutral observer, without necessarily believing that you need to be tempted into the misalignment of the negative side, of the critic and the deceiver, but allows you the opportunity to choose to really only receive those messages, those inputs, those voices that are representative and reflective of the supportive father and the nurturing mother, the loving parents, and grow in their image into a mature adult in that vibration, in that balanced state of being. Now, we are going to also talk about other levels that you're going to experience connections to, and the levels that we are about to describe, in some senses, are representative of degrees of relevance, degrees of expansion of energy and consciousness, but just because we are going to give them to you in a certain order, up the ladder, up the scale of expansiveness and vibrational resonance, doesn't mean that you will necessarily experience them in your life in exactly this order. You may skip over a couple and connect to something on a different level because that's what you need to connect to. Because what we are talking about here in the two different sections of the physical and the non-physical are not only the ideas of the voices, the interpretive voices that you create in your physical mind, but also the way in which you actually receive communication from non-physical beings, non-physical levels of your own consciousness, with respect not only to the idea of self-guidance, but also with respect to the idea of connecting to other levels in a kind of a channeling state. So we're also talking here about that when people feel that they are attracted to and drawn to the idea of opening up to being in a channeling state and connecting to other levels of consciousness, we are giving you an understanding of the typical degree, the typical arrangement, the typical order in which you may experience connecting to other levels of consciousness that are common for many of you who are willing to open up to that channeling state. Again, it doesn't mean it has to happen in this order or exactly in this way. But what we are describing is the average, typical way most of you will experience connecting to different levels of consciousness, be it within yourself or what appears to be outside yourself, if you open up to the idea of being more of yourself and existing in the channeling state. So, we have described the idea first of this first step, this foundation of the neutral observer in the physical reality, with the negative side of the critic and the deceiver, and the positive side of the supportive father and the nurturing mother. And now we go up to the next expansive level. This is where you start tapping into the idea of your own intuition, which is an understanding of how you pick up on vibrations of things around you, people around you, beings around you of different types. They don't have to be human. But the intuition also has its own voice. It has its own feeling. It has its own sensation. It's a different kind of a voice in your head, in your heart. And remember, through all this, we're not leaving the heart out. This is a balancing act between the mind and the heart in every case that we're describing, positive or negative. But the intuition is another level of the voice in your head where you sense things, you pick up on vibrations and interpret them, again, either through the negative or the positive filter, according to what you're buying into, but interpret those vibrations in ways that feels a little bit different than the typical voices that you talk to yourself with in your own head. Because it seems to be coming a little bit more from another level, another realm, a little bit more picking up on quote-unquote outside vibrations and interpreting them for yourself, to use them as guideposts for yourself, to understand how to relate to the reality around you, how to guide yourself through that ocean, that sea of vibrational emanations, vibrational information. And again, fine-tuning it so that it is always in balance, in that
neutral observer space in the center, which runs all the way up and down these levels that we're talking about, positive, negative, and neutral, these levels can be experienced through these filters on all levels. The idea, therefore, is to stay balanced with the idea of intuition and pay attention and have the discernment vibrationally within yourself to know the difference between the idea of what you're picking up on just as a neutral vibration and what you may be coloring or interpreting or spinning, as you say, into or through the negative or positive filters within your own physical mind. Because just to pick up on a vibration doesn't necessarily mean that you are remaining neutral with your response or reaction to that vibration, because it's still, as with everything, an opportunity to put positive meaning or negative meaning into what you are sensing. But you are sensing on a different level in what we call the intuitive vibrational level. That's another level that translates into a kind of sensing or voice in your head and in your heart. Above that, the next level is what we will call the archetypal compartment level. Now, what this means is, because your physical mind has been compartmentalized in a variety of ways, you have different kinds of personality aspects of your total being, your total physical mind, all existing kind of either overlapping, if you wish, or side by side, if you wish. Doesn't matter how you look at this. But you have these different archetypal expressions of your physical consciousness. And each and every one of them, and there are 22 of them, can actually sound and feel like an autonomous being that suddenly you have gotten in touch with. Many times, again, not always, but many times when individuals on your planet start opening up to the idea of channeling, be it vocal channeling or automatic writing or however you wish to express it, but with the component that you're connecting to something else, someone else, usually, not always, usually, the first level you actually come in contact with is this archetypal level within your own personality structure. You think you may be talking to someone else outside your personality on another dimensional plane, but very often you're not. The first beings you usually encounter are these archetypal reflections that comprise your total physical personality. These 22 archetypal reflections were intuitively recognized by various individuals through time and incorporated into what you call the major arcana of the tarot card deck. So if you want to understand what the qualities, what the energies, what the vibrations of these 22 archetypal compartmentalized components of your psyche are, look at the major 22 cards of the tarot deck, and you will understand exactly how they all relate to how you view yourself at given times, what kind of energies you feel within yourself, what kind of role you play at different times in various situations, what kind of stories and relationships you have with your psyche, within yourself at various times, in various situations, and again, in conjunction with and according to whatever you hold on to as a belief, because you can experience every single one of these 22 major arcana, 22 compartmentalized archetypes in, again, either a neutral, negative, or positive way. So allow yourself to investigate those major cards within the tarot deck to understand all of the components on the archetypal level of your physical mind. Now, as you then explore another vibration above that, you now go into the idea of the higher mind. And this is where the conduit of your imagination comes in, because imagination is the conduit, is the pipeline of communication between the higher mind and the physical mind. And therefore, the voice you're most likely to experience from the higher mind is actually the experience of your imagination itself. The daydreams, the images, the feelings that come from your imagination. This can include the idea of the nighttime dreams as well, because very often what you wake up and remember as a dream, which is again another kind of voice, another kind of message delivery system, may simply be your physical mind's interpretation of a communication that you were having as a more holistic person when you were more fully in touch, more fully awake in and as your higher mind self. And so when you wake up in the morning, your physical mind will use that pipeline of your imagination to reconnect, to stay connected to the conversation, to the communication, to the information coming from your higher mind, and it will interpret this in the way that you understand as images and feelings and experiences and memories you call the dream. So the higher mind has many ways of communicating, not only, of course, in the concept we are discussing already, and even down through the idea of the archetypes and down through the intuition and into the physical experience, but also through the synchronicity in your life, which is another kind of signal or sign or roadmap or voice in your head. Because higher mind will usually simply guide you very, very gently to see what is already in front of your face in physical reality. Because the higher mind mirror is another way of reflecting information and ideas that are important for you to be aware of, and it will use the synchronicity of what's already existing in your reality to do so, and that's another form of communication, it's another form of voice. So when you see synchronicity, when you experience synchronicity, you're actually experiencing another voice from the higher mind reflecting to you what you need to know to stay in alignment with the path that you chose to experience, the path you chose to be, the path you uniquely are. Above and beyond that, again, you will find that those that are open to it will begin perhaps to connect to the idea you call spirit guides, or those that exist in what you call the non-physical realm of spirit, those that exist on the other side, as you say. And this can begin the sojourn into channeling and mediumistic capabilities, and you start hearing those voices in your head, the voices of the guides, the intuition that comes with that, the imagination that comes with that. It's not always experienced as a literal voice, although it can be. But that's now the level you're tapping into when you're at the level of the vibration of the guides and the spirits in the spirit realm. And that can boost and amplify and magnify the so-called transmissions and voices that you receive, that you perceive from that realm, and may translate as voices in your head that can impart information to you that can be of great benefit both to you and to anyone else to whom those messages, to whom that information may be important.